All right, more music news related stuff. This is something you sent over earlier today. You said you wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Twisted Sisters guitarist JJ French says no one wants to hear old dogs trying new tricks.
Right.
Twisted Sisters JJ slams idiot classic bands for playing new songs.
Right.
Twisted Sisters JJ French says no one cares when an older rock band releases new music. The guitarist describes classic groups who insist on playing material from their latest records live as idiots and delusional. Well, we know that. We've said that on the show, that it's the beer and piss break.
It is.
You know. When did that change? When do you think that changed? Because a majority of the time, whenever a band launched a tour, it was in support of their latest release.
I don't think that part has changed.
Well, I understand, but my point is during that time, bands would play 2, 3, maybe even 4 songs from their latest release, you know, and mix it in with the classics.
Right.
Well, at what point did the fans reject that thought that a band would play new music with the classics?
When they started getting fucked on the price of the tickets.
Is that when it was, that they only want to hear the hits when the tickets cost so much?
Well, if you're paying $30 for a show,
okay,
you're willing to sit through some bullshit. You're willing to experiment a little bit because it's not that big of a bite. Dropping $100 and a half for a show, you don't want to hear anything but what you fucking want.
Well, I guess my question is what is the turning point? Because let's just take a classic band, say like Aerosmith.
Okay,
Aerosmith had quite an illustrious career from the early to mid 70s until, well, currently, I guess they're still together in some regard. I mean, they haven't toured in two summers,
right?
One summer or whatever. But up until, what would you say was their last bona fide hit?
Aerosmith?
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know. The Armageddon song, maybe?
Well, I'm not talking soundtrack here. Let's talk about a release, a hit release from a record. Would you say it was from their
Get a Grip?
Could be Get a Grip.
Yeah, because that had a bunch of hits.
Yeah, so that was like mid 90s.
Yeah.
Okay. So Aerosmith every other year, every couple years, and they took a few years off in the 80s.
Right.
But for the most part, every time that they came out on tour behind a new record, they actually had a couple of hits. And they could play them live in concert because classic rock radio, it wasn't even classic rock then, it was just rock radio.
Right.
Was actually playing those songs.
Right.
So is it determined that if quote unquote traditional terrestrial radio doesn't play a song from their new record, that they can't play new songs in their concert because it doesn't correlate and people are not familiar with it? Is that the turning point for classic bands not playing new material?
I guess it depends on the band because, you know, obviously you can throw the Slayer and Pantera out there that never had hits, but yeah, I would think so. I mean, nobody wants to hear songs off of a fucking album that has no hits.
Okay, so basically it's in correlation to a popular outlet where the fans would have heard a song prior to the concert.
I would think so, yeah.
So since rock radio, for the most part, doesn't play new music anymore, you know, from classic bands.
Right.
Because you got bands out there that are still touring, i.e. Lynyrd Skynyrd, Journey,
right,
Aerosmith, Rolling Stones, The Who. They're not getting, even though that those are mega star bands,
right,
even they are not getting new songs played on the radio.
No, not at all.
So if you don't hear it on some kind of a radio outlet, the chances are it's pointless to play it live in concert. I guess that's the point, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So when did rock radio stop playing new songs from bands? Only in 2006?
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's before that.
No, there was still rock radio. It just wasn't shit you were listening to.
Yeah, but were they playing new songs from older bands?
Well, what would have been older at the time? Your Disturbeds and your Korn.
No, I'm talking classic rock. I'm talking, veteran bands here.
Well, no, but that's never been the case.
Well, let's use.
That's just like saying that when Aerosmith was happening, that fucking people stopped playing Bad Company.
Well, let's use Lynyrd Skynyrd.
All right.
Okay. Lynyrd Skynyrd, a very strong classic rock radio staple. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. When was the last time classic rock radio would take a chance and play a new Lynyrd Skynyrd song?
About the time that they put the fire out from the Crash.
No, I disagree with that.
They didn't have hits after that.
You don't think?
What hits? They've had no significant hits without the original
since
line.
The 70s.
They've had none.
Okay.
Closest is Red, White, and Blue.
Okay.
That's the closest that they've had.
All right.
They haven't had any significant.
I'm going to guess here. Well, let's take Rush.
Okay.
Say Rush is a classic. When was the last time Rush got a hit song on the radio?
Time Stands Still. Hold Your Fire.
What year did that come out?
88, 89? Oh.
No, because I saw them on the Roll the Bones tour. And they were playing that song Roll the Bones.
Was that a hit?
Yeah, that was a hit on radio. I used to hear it like on WONE and stuff.
Well, then that would probably be the last time.
So that was like the mid-90s, right?
I guess.
Early to mid-90s?
They sure didn't have hits off of like Snakes and Arrows.
No, not at all.
I
I think the last time that they had like hits from Rush was like Roll the Bones or Counterparts.
Right.
Like around that era. So we're talking like early to mid-90s.
Okay.
So since the early to mid-90s, older bands, veteran bands, probably are wasting their time playing something new in their set list because because people haven't heard it anyway.
Right.
So to get back to JJ French, French tells Goldmine, let's be honest, any classic band that releases a new record is an idiot for playing it. I mean, they can justify it all they want, but no one cares. See, that this is getting back to my question is, why doesn't anyone care?
Well, I just find it interesting that it's JJ French saying this because one of the reasons Twisted Sister went away was because their fucking output dried up. They didn't put out anything after their hit.
Right.
Really? I mean, Come Out and Play, did that have hits? It did it?
I don't think so.
The leader of the pack?
Yeah, that when they got into that whole be cruel to your school and leader of the pack and all that garbage.
Over.
That was over.
Yeah, and the album after that was what? Love is for Suckers?
Mm-hmm.
That didn't sell shit. And that didn't have any hits. Hot Love!
Yeah, that was bad.
That's terrible. And they were done. So JJ French he's not the right one to ask because his band was a flash in the pan. His band clearly was not a one-hit wonder, but about a three-hit wonder.
Sure.
Love the band personally, but they were about a three-hit wonder.
Yeah, they had anthemic songs, the three that they had.
Yeah.
And they were memorable, but as far as a body of work, memorable songs, no.
No, they're not U2.
No, not at all.
Now, people will still listen to a U2 song.
Does U2 still get hit songs on the radio?
I believe they do, yeah.
Do they?
But then again, they're one of those bands that is like crossed over to TV.
Sure.
Like a Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi still has sort of hits, but they're not radio hits. They're more like you see them on the fucking pregame for the Super Bowl or something.
Sure.
And like Kid Rock is another one that's like that. Kid Rock has radio hits, but most of his shit now is like hits because it's also tied into a fucking commercial or something. You know, same type of a thing. He's replaced Bob Seger. Remember when Bob Seger, every time you heard him, it was on a Ford commercial?
Sure, absolutely. Like a rock.
Yeah. Now it's Kid Rock. He took that job.
Sure.
So I just think in today's world, radio is so unimportant, and rock is, I hate to agree with Gene Simmons on this, but rock is kind of like not prevalent right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the rock bands are not going to get a lot of love, you know, and I hate to say it, but most concert goers are shallow.
True. They only know the hits.
Yeah. They don't even know who's in the band. Bobby Blotzer's proven that.
Absolutely.
You know, so they're shallow, you know. We all agreed, everybody but Jason Green agreed, that the fucking Infestation was a great record. And nobody ever heard it. No one heard it.
Except the hardcores.
Yeah, except for the 20,000 hardcores around the world.
Sure.
And that's it.
I agree. Hail and Kill caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Neely, it's Scotty from the Commonwealth.
Hey, what's up, Scotty?
I have to agree with J.J. French on this. You know, it's like, I think, well, I mean, take Metallica, for instance. Like, after you get past their fourth or fifth album after the Black Album, maybe, I mean, did they really fucking do anything that was relevant that you really wanted to fucking hear when you went to see a Metallica show? I mean, most bands still come out with that first album, you know, like the shit they've been polishing for years, playing the fucking clubs and shit. And then maybe the sophomore album, second effort, will be okay. But, you know, when you go to see a band in concert, it's like, I don't know, I guess maybe I'm one of the shallow people. I don't want to fucking hear, like, the deep fucking cuts in their latest release. You know what I mean? I want to hear the fucking tunes that I want to hear.
Yeah, but see, this is where I was going with that whether they can play a new song in concert or not correlates strongly with whether they had a hit with the song. If the song that they were playing in concert from the new record was actually popular, they could get away with playing it live.
Sure.
But if it's not a popular song and nobody heard it, then nobody wants to hear it. But if everybody's humming that song, you know, because they heard it on a commercial or they actually heard it on FM radio, which obviously we all know that that's a dying medium as well. But if it was released on a popular platform that had mass appeal, then nobody would have any issue with it if that band came to town and played that song for you live. But because these bands today are not getting any kind of popular release on a popular platform to where it's getting mass appeal, then nobody wants to hear it because they never heard it before. So they can't sing along with it or bebop along to it because it's like, oh, that's that new song that they have. People are going, I don't know what this is. I didn't buy the record.
Yeah, I remember, was it like back in, it was like the late 80s, I think it was. Some friends and I, we went to go see David Bowie on what he called his Glass Spider Tour. And that was the last time he played all of his hits. And he even announced that when he was doing the tour that, you know, like, this was going to be it. After this tour, you know, he wasn't going to do any of the hits from, you know, like, the early part of his career, and he was just sick and tired of fucking playing them, and that was fucking that. And then, after that, I think he came out with something, I think it was called Tin Machine, and he started getting into that industrial phase of his career, and he toured with Nine Inch Nails. And my girlfriend and I went to go see the show when they came to Hartford, and Nine Inch Nails was the warm-up act. And, you know, like, we watched, everybody was there to see Nine Inch Nails, and as soon as they did this thing where Nine Inch Nails finished with Hurt, and he and Bowie did it as David Bowie came out, and they did it as a duet, and throughout the course of the song, they'd replace one member of Nine Inch Nails with a member from Bowie's band, and by the end of the song, it was just Bowie's band, and then Trent Reznor walked off the stage, and then Bowie started his show, and everybody fucking left. I mean, you could practically hear fucking crickets chirping. It was just because he wasn't playing any of his whole fucking songs anymore. He wasn't playing any of the fucking hits. He was playing all this Tin Machine and all the bullshit he did after that, and like nobody wanted to fucking hear it.
Well,
everybody just fucking bailed.
Yeah, but the thing is if those Tin Machine songs or whatever had become like major mega hits or something, everybody would have stayed because they had heard it on some kind of commercial outlet, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And I think Chris can attest to this. I think you may have went to the show, Chris. Remember that show? I can't remember when it was. It was like 90, I want to say it was like 93 or 94. Black Crowes did a tour, and they didn't play any of their hits.
Yeah, I went to that show.
Well, what was that show? Where was that? I know it was in a smaller venue.
Like Public Hall or something.
Yeah, it was a small hall.
Yeah.
And they played none of their hits. None.
At all. Yeah,
it was all B-sides.
It was awesome. For me, it was
really?
Awesome.
You thought it was awesome, huh?
I'm a huge Black Crowes fan.
Yeah, but you see,
I like the Crowes too, but I mean, I would definitely want to hear Sometimes Salvation and Remedy and like their better songs.
They didn't play any of those.
Oh, wow, that would really fucking bum me out.
See, but I
actually saw the Crowes once, and they were fucking awesome. They played the Oakdale down in Connecticut like years ago, and it was the way. But fortunately, they did play all their hits.
Right, but my point. Getting back to my point, that if it's not a radio-friendly hit or if it wasn't released on some kind of a popular platform, no matter how good the song might be, if you never heard it before, you're not interested for whatever reason. If it wasn't on MTV, or if it didn't have a music video, or if it didn't have something that put it in front of you before the show, then to you it's just like noise.
Well, yeah, because you're not really familiar with it, though, at that point. And a lot of this depends on the artist also. I mean, take the Grateful Dead, for instance. They were actually a one-hit wonder. Was it Touch of Grey, I think it was like the only fucking hit they ever had. So if you went to a fucking Dead show, that's all you fucking heard were B-sides. I mean, they had one hit, and that didn't even come until sometime in the mid-'80s, I think it was.
Yeah, they had Truckin'.
It really, go ahead and Google it. The only hit they ever had was Touch of Grey, and that didn't come out until
85.
After MTV came out. And I think probably MTV had a lot to do with
it was
the fact
85.
that actually became a hit.
Yeah, it was 85. It had that bad video with the skeletons.
Yeah. And I was never a Deadhead, but no, I was aware, though, that was like the only hit they ever had. And so if that's all they played were fucking like deeper B-side cuts throughout their entire show because that's all they had. But anyway, it's time for you guys to wrap it up, so I'll let you go. And by the way, thanks for playing "Children of the Sea" earlier by Heaven and Hell. I really appreciated that. And you guys have a good week. Hail and kill. Fuck you, pal, and hand job.
All right, there goes Scotty. All right, to finish up JJ's thoughts here. Mm-hmm. They say they do, but they don't, which is why most of these classic bands make a new album, go out on tour, start out with 5 songs from the new record. After a few weeks, there are only 2 songs, and then they just want to play that one new song and get it over with because no one knows it and no one gives a shit about it, and they're delusional to think they do.
Here's the problem, though. The problem is without that new music, even if nobody's listening to it, there's no reason to go see the band. And I'll use LA Guns as a prime example.
Mm-hmm.
Never stopped touring.
True.
Right? And because they never stopped touring, there's really no reason to go see them. If you don't see them this time, then you'll see them next time.
Yeah, and they come through the Chicago area at least 4 times a year.
Yeah.
So about every 3 months, they're through here.
And you are a fan on the level that you've actually booked shows for them.
I have.
So, and you don't go?
No, I don't go, but I like those guys and I love to go see them, but it's not worth an hour drive and hassling traffic and stuff for me to go see them. But if it was more of a convenient thing for me, I would, if they were playing down the road here, I would go down and see them. But if I have to drive an hour and go through traffic and go through all the nonsense to get there, and then wait till, 11 o'clock or midnight for them to come on and then drive home an hour or so. Not worth it.
But it might be more worth it to you if they had something new.
You know what? I never based my interest in LA Guns on whether they had something new or not.
Really?
I just like them for their music. I just like their tunes. I like them as people. So for me, it's a little bit different. If they came through here, even if they didn't have a new record, it wouldn't matter to me. If they were close by, I would go see them.
See, I'm a guy that, and I can only speak again for me, I'm different than that. I'll go see a band once on a tour. And unless it's one of my absolute favorite bands, I won't go see them when they come through again.
Sure.
Like the band that comes to mind immediately to me is Guns N' Roses. When Guns N' Roses was doing Use Your Illusions, I saw them. I saw them on like the opening night, because they opened at Shoreline Amphitheater. I saw them on that. And then I saw them a year and a half later, or 2 years later, whatever it was, with Spaghetti Incident. I didn't see them again, and they rolled through California. I can't tell you how many times, but I just was like, I've seen it. I had already seen that show, and I didn't want to go again. And I'm like that. I catch it for the album, and then I'm good for till the next album.
Right.
Then I want to see a different show because a lot of times the bands play the same fucking show.
Sure.
And that fucking blows if you've already seen it.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I guess everybody's a little different.
Right. Twisted Sister have not released any new original material since 1987. Love is for Suckers. Well, that's not true because they did have that one song off that Strange Land. Yeah.
Heroes Are Hard to Find.
That's the one. Their 2006 album, A Twisted Christmas, featured classic festive covers, and 2004 Still Hungry was re-recorded for 1984 Stay Hungry. French said they're simply giving the audience what they want. Another delusional thing is let's alter the arrangements and be hip, he said. No one gives a shit about that either. If you're a great entertainer, you'll give them exactly what they want to hear, exactly how they want to hear it. That's what entertainers do. Idiot entertainers don't do that. Twisted Sister's 40 and Fuck It Farewell tour wraps up this year. So, anyway, well, again, I agree with you that Twisted Sister isn't a good example because they really haven't had a record in 30 years.
Yeah, I mean they didn't have a long enough history.
Yeah, true. But
they're not the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, but even a Rolling Stones or the Who or Aerosmith or Lynyrd Skynyrd or any one of those that still put out music, if it doesn't hit some kind of a popular media outlet to where it has mass appeal, where a lot of people hear it, no, people are not going to be interested because they're just, what is this? I don't know what. Beer and piss break. Yeah.
Again, I still think it comes down to the artist though, because I'll throw Springsteen out there. People go to Springsteen shows. They want to hear the new shit.
Do they?
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't know.
They definitely want to hear new material from him. They want to hear him do something different.
Okay.
So, and it just depends on the band, I guess. I'll tell you what, I don't have any interest at all in seeing Judas Priest anymore because they always play the same shit.
Sure.
And I mean, it's almost the same tour every time, and they played like one or two off of the last album, and that was actually kind of fun to hear, March of the Damned or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool, but, how many times do I got to see Rob Halford doing the robot during Metal God?
Sure.
And I was like, all right, I've seen it.
Yeah. Well, even Don, is trying to mix up the set a little bit, and slowly but surely he wants to try to start, with this current lineup, not with this reunion thing, but with this current lineup, he's trying to, weed out one or two songs and weed in a couple new songs or, other songs they haven't played in a long time.
Right.
And when I saw them in March, they did do that. They played Maddest Hatter.
Right.
And they played from Tooth and Nail, Don't Close Your Eyes.
Okay.
So they added two songs to the set they literally have not played in years.
Right.
And he'd like to do more.
And that's cool. Keep it fresh because maybe they'll sound a little better if they've got something to look forward to in the set.
Sure.
I mean, does Don really want to fucking sing Alone Again?
Well, unfortunately, there are a few staple songs that no matter what you think, you have to do it because the fans, the casual fans want to hear that. Oh, I can't wait to hear Alone Again. I can't wait,
Meanwhile, Don's like, all right, here's the part of the song. We always used to joke about that, about Dream On, about how much we envision that Steven Tyler hates singing that song.
Yeah.
Because wasn't that like on the first record?
Yeah, sure.
It was the big hit on the first record, and it's still the biggest song they've ever done.
Right.
And at this point, he's got to be fucking tired of that fucking stupid song.
Sure.
He probably fucking knows when it's coming in the set. He's just cringing to have to go sit at the piano and play it.
Yeah. Well, again, because of the fickle fans and because of because a lot of people who go to shows only know 2 or 3 of the songs. If they don't play those 2 or 3 songs, oh man, they fucking suck, man.
Yeah.
I went there to hear, Breaking the Chains and they didn't play it. What am I going to do, man? I wasted my money.
Right.
So that's what they got to deal with. It's sad. It's a tough thing, especially if you're a legacy band. If you've had a 30-plus year career and you've had a big catalog, it is really tough to pare that catalog down to suit everybody.
Yeah, to find 14 songs to play.
That's a lot of songs, too. 14?
Yeah.
They may get 10.
Yeah.
And if they had 4 or 5 mega hits and you don't play all 5 of those mega hits, that only leaves you with 5 other songs.
Yep. And most of the time they have their B-level hits that people still know.
Yeah.
That they want to hear.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot.
It is. All right, dude. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the show.
That's enough. I'm falling asleep.
I can tell.
I'm getting tired.
All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. We want to thank our good friend George Mahalovic from the band Aftershock for calling in and being part of the show. They've got a new CD out called Detonate on Auburn Records. So just look up Aftershock. That is Aftershok. No C in there.
That's right.
Aftershock.
Yeah, pal.
Yeah, pick up Detonate or just go to Auburn Records and you can find it. But anyway, go check them out and pick up the new CD. Also want to thank Jen from the Swiffer Bitches for calling in and being a part of the show and bashing on the Moose.
Yeah.
And then, of course, everybody in the chat room and everybody who supports the show, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And we're going to get out of here. Chris is going to do a show next week with who?
With Rob Kern, the mighty Omam from the, what is it? Angry, Loud, and Drunk?
Angry, Loud, and Drunk.
I'm Angry, Loud, and Drunk. And the great Bill Peters has said that he's going to come in for a while.
From Metal on Metal.
That's right. So we're going to do some radio. Be ready for a lot of music and a lot of music talk.
Sure.
I can't see Bill talking about racism, can you?
No, I don't think so. Bill's pretty laid back guy, so I don't see him discussing any of that.
I don't either, but we'll have fun. We'll make it fun.
And I will be out in L.A. Going to the Bob Nobandian's screening of the Inside Metal, the second edition for the L.A. Metal Scene Explodes, and going to check out some Metal Church and some Armored Saint. And, if time permits and situations permit, I will call into the show live and give you kind of an update and let you know what's happening out there in La La Land.
Cool.
All right, let's get out of here. I'm going to leave you with some Black and Blue.
All right.
This is probably one of my favorite tunes from their One Night Only release. This is something Jamie St. James gave me when I met him years ago for the first time when he was living in Cleveland. He came down to the Classic Metal Show studio over at WSTB and did a couple shows with me.
Yep.
And he was very cool about it. But he brought me the One Night Live CD from Black and Blue. And this is probably my favorite tune off of this. It's a great rendition of The Wicked Bitch.
Nice.
So we're going to get out of here. So until next Saturday night, this is Neeley along with my very good friend
Chris Hagen.
And we are gone.
Bye, kids.